Hello design friends! Today we're going to take a look at the blend tool in Adobe Illustrator and all of the different things that you can do with it. Now I'd say all of the different things, but there's actually going to be way more than I'm going to be able to show you today. This one tool is capable of so much. So let's get into some of the different things we can do. Now to show off the blend tool, I've worked ahead a little bit to create a few different scenarios which will show off the basics of what this tool is capable of. Our first scenario we have here is transforming one shape into another. As you can see, we have our two shapes which are wildly different from one another. So let's go ahead and select those two shapes. All right, and then we just have to go up to Object, Blend, and then let's go to Blend Options. All right, now we see our Options panel. So for the first scenario, let's go ahead and choose Specified Steps, which is already highlighted here, meaning we get to choose how many shapes will be generated between our two objects. So let's say 6 to start out with, and we'll hit OK. And nothing happened. But don't worry, we knew this was going to happen. For whatever reason, the blend options and the command to actually make the blend are two completely different things. So all we have to do is go back up to Object, Blend, and this time we'll select Make. And now we can see that our first shape is slowly morphing into our second shape. One thing to note is that our objects are actually now joined together as a single blended object, meaning that if we try to move our shape, it moves the entire thing. But if we want to move just one end of the blend, we can do that by double-clicking on one end. That entered us into isolation mode. And now we can select one end of our blend and we can drag that around and see how the entire thing morphs and changes. But for now, let's go ahead and put that back where it was. Now to leave isolation mode, all you have to do is either double click again on the artboard or tap the escape key. I usually double click, but whatever feels more natural to you. All right, so that's one thing that the blend tool is capable of. Let's check out another. So we've already shown that we can go from one shape to another shape, but what if we have 3 shapes or 4 shapes? What does it do then? Let's take a look. First, we have to select all of our shapes. So let's go ahead and do that. And then we want to go back up to our Object, Blend, and then Blend Options. We again will use Specified Steps, but this time we have less space between each of our objects, so let's go ahead and put this down to 3. And then we'll hit OK. And then again, we'll have to go back up to Object, Blend, Make, or we could use this slightly obnoxious shortcut, Alt-Control-B, or Option-Command-B on a Mac. So now we can see that our circles go from small up to large and then back down to small. All right, now let's check out a third application. This time we've got 2 circles in 2 different colors. Maybe we want to create a color palette with different tints of color to help complement them. So let's go ahead and select both of those shapes. And then we'll go back up to Object, Blend, Blend Options, Specified Steps again, and this time we'll say 6. Hit OK, and then right back up to Object, Blend, Make. And now you can see we've actually created this really nice color palette of options here, showing colors ranging from the lighter shape to our darker shape and all of the ranges in between. Really nice. Now while we're here, just for fun, let's go back up to our Options panel. Let's go back up to Object, Blend, Blend Options. I want to show you something else. Let's change Specified Steps to Smooth Color and see what that does. Look at that. Now we have this perfect gradient from left to right. And again, we get to see that full range of color between the two. So that's pretty cool. So we'll go ahead and hit OK. Now, so far, everything we've looked at has been blending 2 objects next to one another, but we can actually also blend objects inside of one another. That makes some really cool effects. Let's check this out. So down here, we have our object on the outside and another object which is nested inside of it, both with different colors and different stroke weights. So let's take a look at what that does. We'll select our objects, And before the carpal tunnel sets in, let's go all the way back up to Object, Blend. We'll again go to Blend Options, and we'll again choose Specified Steps. We'll say 6 again, and then we'll go select OK, and go back up to Object, Blend, Make. Wow, look at that. We made a really cool 3D looking design with our two objects. Our outside object is gradually changing in shape and color to join our object in the middle. But that might be just a little too tight. Let's go back up to Object, Blend, Blend Options, and let's actually dial this back down to 4. And we'll hit Tab just so we can see what that looks like. Yeah, that looks nice. Kind of reminds me of one of those wind trinkets that people hang on the outside of their porches. I can't think of what those are actually called. Let me know down in the comments if you know what I'm talking about and what they're called, so I don't have to agonize about it while I'm trying to sleep tonight. Okay, we've looked at a bunch of different shapes, but what about text? So we've got our text in 2 different sizes and colors. Let's go and select both of those, and you guessed it, we're going to go back up to Object, Blend, Blend Options, Specified Steps once again, but this time we're going to say something ridiculous like 200 steps. All right, we'll hit OK, and then again we'll go back up to Object, Blend, Make. Wow, look at that. We have this brilliant 3D effect on our text now. It's coming right at you. Only thing is, since it blends everything together, it's a little tough to distinguish what the text actually says. So what's a good way to fix that? If we change the color on one end of our blend, it's just going to change everything and we'll have the same problem again. So this time, let's double click on our blended object to enter isolation mode. Now we'll select our top object and copy it with Control-C or Command-C on a Mac. And then again, we can double click our artboard or hit Escape to exit isolation mode. Now we want to paste our copy of our text right on top of what we have here. Now I usually use Control-F or Command-F, which is the command for paste in front. You can also use paste in place, but paste in front always gets me pretty much what I want anyways. So let's paste our copy. And then let's change our color to something a little brighter so we can see it. Yeah, something just like that. That looks great. Perfect. Now we've got this brilliant text with this great 3D effect. That looks fantastic. All right, last scenario for today. What if we have 2 completely different objects? So down here we have 2 grouped objects that I built previously. One of them is a vinyl record and the other is a CD. Feel free to argue about which one is the real dead format. Now, what in the world is going to happen if we try to blend this? Let's go ahead and take a look. Last time, I promise. Now let's select both of our objects. Then we'll go back up to Object, Blend, Blend Options. We'll stick with Specified Steps, but this time let's say 6. Hit OK. And then one more time, let's go back up to Object, Blend, Make. And there we go. We've got our vinyl record gradually morphing to become our compact disc, sort of anamorph style. Now, I will say your results may vary a bit for more complex shapes, so don't expect this to work out perfectly every time, but when it does, it's really fun. And that's just a few ways that you can use the blend tool. There are actually a ton more things that you can do with it, so if you want a part 2, let me know down in the comments. And of course, the best way to see that video and other quick tip videos is to subscribe. Either way, thank you so much for dropping by, and I'll see you next time.